Bang, bang, bang. What up, everyone? This is, I don't know what that's about. I just really like the bang emoji. It's really what that's coming down to. I don't understand if people don't use it more. But yeah, what's up? This is episode 22, so says the save file I'm working on right now. This is good, just me doing my thing, rambling about bullshit, but that's my favorite kind of bullshit. Real fun, real good times. Glad you're here. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, just here, fucking around. Good times. A lot of stuff. A lot of movies and anime and the anime video games, because that's the stuff I like. It's good times. I enjoy it. It's good fun. I don't really know what else to say in here, except I don't talk about One Piece, but I'm talking about it a little bit right now. It's really fucking good, and I really regret being caught up because it makes me sad that I have to wait a week to get more. But I don't want Oda to die by being overworked. So it happens. But it's so good. So good. I love One Piece so much. One Piece. Alright, well, I'm going to go do a thing. If I finish it and it doesn't come out to be pure garbage, I'll put it on Twitter or Facebook. Probably Twitter. It's a little poster thingy I want to try to put together. But that is the end of this opening. Time for the theme song that I stole from Persona 5. Please don't sue me, Atlas. Alright, enjoy. Hey, what's up, everyone? This is episode, I think, 22. I don't remember, but that doesn't matter. So, yeah, just coming at you. Gonna record this one. I don't know why these headphones are on. Get out of here. And, yeah, we'll just kind of go on it. I've been kind of busy doing a bunch of different shit, but having different guests on means I got a bunch of shit to talk about that I did alone. I don't know why I'm talking like that. But, yeah, so we're going to go over some of the things that I've been doing. And for one thing I did yesterday, because I was going to record this yesterday, and then I decided to neglect all obligations and be a delinquent. And I went to see Mother screaming it, making that. I'm not going to make that joke, even though I kind of did. Whatever. Everyone's been making that joke. It's got an exclamation point at the end, whatever. The new Darren Aronofsky's film, the guy who made, the fuck is it called? Requiem for a Dream, Black Swan, Pi, which I've never seen, so that's why that one's coming third in this list, even that one's first. I think he did something else too, I forget. But Black Swan, Requiem for a Dream, fucking dope-ass movies. I love Requiem for a Dream, but I don't think I'll ever watch it again because I know what happens, and there is some gross-ass shit in there. Is everyone a drug addict in some form or another? A lot of the major characters have, like, serious drug issues, and it kind of explores various avenues of addiction. One's heroin, one's pills, even though those are technically the same thing. And someone else, what the fuck? I feel like it's a mosaic, so there's several stories. It's been a long time since I've seen it, and I don't plan on watching it again because the ending is disgusting. Because it shows you what fucking happens when you do a whole bunch of fucking drugs. It's pretty fucking terrible. And Black Swan, dope-ass movie. I really enjoyed it. And actually, funny story about Black Swan. So it's the only thing I really have in any form of connection to ballet, which is weird because I just watched a YouTube video on Princess Tutu, an anime about ballet, but that's neither here nor there. So it's the only real connection I have to ballet. And I was doing, so I don't know if I've ever brought this up on the show, but a couple of summers ago when I was in college, so it was my freshman year into sophomore year of college, I did this knife selling thing. And the knife selling thing turns out for most people a goddamn nightmare job. I didn't hate it completely, but I also didn't love it either. But I was pretty good at it, I guess. So says the people in the office. I don't know. For the 3 months I did it, but it has a fucking crazy turnover rate. So people are constantly coming in and out, and we'd always God, it'd probably be on the weekly basis. There was new people in there all the time. They were there for a day. Wouldn't go through, we'd get to the training, do it a little bit, fuck this. So I met a whole bunch of random people, and this one girl I met, because we'd always go and do, I'm leaving out details, I need to bring it in. So we'd always do these team building things where we'd go to Applebee's and hang out after a meeting, because we're all friends and young kids. It's really, actually the average age was 25. It was a really young group of people. So it's super interesting that that was constantly, even our managers were super young. I don't think any of them, one guy was over 30. It was pretty weird. But so we go like these Applebee's, and I was just on this other side of this table where I didn't know any of the kids because they're all just new, because I for some reason I always came like late to the stupid fucking Applebee's bullshit, so I always had shitty seating. So I was sitting with all these kids I didn't know, and there was this girl who I was like, all right, fine, I'll start conversation. I'm a likable guy. I can talk to fucking anyone. So I started talking to her. I was like, so what do you like to do? She was like, oh, I'm really into dance. I'm like, well, that's weird. I don't know anything about that. Tell me about it. And she goes, well, I really like ballet. I'm like, well, that's interesting. The only thing I know about ballet is from Black Swan. And then she went on, I don't know, a 45-minute tirade as to why Black Swan is a terrible movie and has nothing to do with ballet, and it's such a fucking disgrace to the art of dance. And I was like, oh, okay, ma'am, I can't even argue with you. I just think it's a good movie. It was well filmed. There's good camera work. Natalie Portman did a good job. What more do you want from me? I can't help you in your fucking pure visceral hatred for this fucking movie that I like. Like I started it with, I have no concept or connection to dance. Please inform me. And she decided to just go off the rails, but it was a good time. But I digress. So I saw Mother, the new movie. I don't remember if there was one in between. It seems like a big gap, like, was it 2012? No. Is that wrong? No, that's wrong. No, that makes sense. About 2012-ish, 2011-ish, where Black Swan came out. To now, it seems like a long gap, but I don't know. But, Mother, regardless. Fantastic. It's getting a lot of, like, negative buzz because, and I'm firmly going to state this, if you don't like the movie, or you think it doesn't make sense, you're the big dumb. Stop being the big dumb and start thinking. Because the movie, although really confusing as the ride's going on, that's the goddamn point. The whole thing is meant to feel like a goddamn nightmare, and it fucking nails that shit so well. The camera is almost always on a close-up onto Jennifer Lawrence's face, who is our perspective of this story. It takes place in one house, and the house is circular. Very important here. So it's just this constantly close-ups and then POV. So it's a close-up on her face and then what she sees. And that's all it is. Very few times. I want to say maybe 7 times we get any kind of semblance of an establishing shot. Like she goes into the bathroom, she takes this drink of this thing, and she walks out. And we don't watch her leave. We just see the bathroom and she leaves the bathroom or something like that. So there'll be scenes occasionally where we watch her. We are the outside force watching her do something, but it very rarely happens. It's majority of the time. I'm gonna say an easy 95% of the time, right in her face, and like it's right in her face or a POV, back and forth. So it's very tight, and it's very tight, and it's very claustrophobic-ish, and it causes a little bit of an anxiety, which is really cool. I like when a movie can do that, and the house being circular makes it very hard to get accustomed to where you are. Basically took maybe about a half hour it took of this movie. This movie's, I want to say, pretty long. Like it started at 7:30. I walked out at 9-ish, so I don't know. It was long. But it didn't really feel that way because it's constantly moving. This movie moves at a rapid pace. And so it's just constantly shit's just constantly happening. It's fucking intense. But the reason this circular house is so important is because, not important, but it causes kind of a lost idea. So she'll kind of walk through a room, and for a while you're like, where are you? Okay, you're in this room. It will take you a second. You know what each room looks like, but it's going to take you a while to map out the house in your head. Similar to The Shining, where in The Shining, Kubrick made active attempts to leave furniture from one set to the others into another set so that you could never tell where you were in the hotel, to create an effect of you're lost and you're scared. The hotel is always shifting and changing and what's going on. So he would actively fuck up, and he would intentionally, this chair is in the lobby. It is now in their bedroom. Or so, that's not an accurate example, but that kind of thing. Where you'll be like, wait a minute, that was in that room, but now we're here. And so if you're paying attention to the environment, it's very hard to keep track of where you are. And so you're like, okay, so and this especially works when, spoilers for The Shining, when Jack starts to pursue and assault his family, you don't know how close he is. So he starts moving down the hallway. You're seeing him just coming at you through the hallway. You cut back to his wife and his son. You don't know where you are. You don't know where he is in perspective to them, because things are just constantly weird. And the way rooms are structured doesn't make sense for the outside of the house. Something I read that somewhere too. I've only seen the movie once, and I only really noticed I was like, am I crazy here? Why does everything seem so like hard to follow? And I looked it up and was like, that's a thing that he was doing. Same thing happens here in Mother, where the house is so circular, and Aronofsky doesn't follow what I believe. And I should have looked this up before I started. It's I'm no film major, but if I'm going to pretend I know anything about movies, I should probably know the exacts of this term, but whatever. The 180 rule, am I wrong? Do I look that? I'm not going to look it up. But it's the 180 rule, basically, meaning that when the character moves, you keep your characters, you keep your camera always on the same plane of your characters. So when the characters move, that's when you move the camera. And several times, especially in the beginning, this happens more, I felt more in the beginning, where Aronofsky would take the camera and literally just spin it around the room, and like we would just spin around her and stuff like that. So like there's a part where there like a couple people are at this dinner table, and the camera, like I was getting dizzy. The camera is moving so much, and just in this quick swirl, and so like you're getting lost in how things are happening, and you're trying to figure out what things are and stuff. Like, and the house is old and kind of creepy, so lighting isn't perfect. So she'll walk into a dark area and then pop out into light, and just the whole way that whole thing is structured is so well done. Like I was saying, how it's a great representation of like a nightmare, brilliant. I don't want to get into it too much, because I didn't know anything more than the description of it is a great emulation of a nightmare, and that was really it. I just really want to talk about the camera work. I thought it was really, really impressive. But I was a huge fan of like this nightmare atmosphere, because it's so tight, it's so close. You're so in her perspective that when things are happening, and like a lot of things are happening, and it does the thing like a nightmare where you're constantly saying something to someone and they just don't listen to you. Where you're just like, you're saying this. They don't listen. They do the thing like, oh my God, I fucking saw that coming. And like you can see these things happening, or someone just doesn't listen, and then something goes and happens, and you're like, oh my God, nothing's more. Like you have like the complete loss of control of the environment. You know, this like it was kind of interesting because at times she felt like she had the same amount of power as you do as a viewer. Like you're just powerless. Like you just have to watch this shit unfold, but she's there to have a reaction. So you like, it pulls an emotional impact. We're like she'll start screaming and like stop this, stop, blah, blah, and you're like, holy fuck, I'm really fucking panicking right now. And it's like, it caused like this crazy amount of like anxiety. It was really, really well done. It was so well done, structured like that. I know I'm not going to go into details here, and like 1% of people who listen to this are actually going to go and fucking watch this movie, but it's really fucking good. It was really well done. When you do watch it, actually, one other thing I did know upon going in was even the names of characters are important to kind of understanding what the story is. So, like watching the credits, seeing what the characters' names are, using that to kind of add to it. So don't go on IMDb, don't do any of the shit. Like, just watch the movie as you watch the movie, and then let all that shit come to you later. I feel like it's the best way to do that, because it's probably just as fun to unravel what is happening with Jennifer Lawrence and kind of figuring out what's going on, trying to piece together where things are going and how things are going and all that shit. Very fascinating. It was just so well done. I was so impressed. Like, and I would have loved it even more if fucking douchebags weren't talking in the theater. If you talk in a movie theater, you should be rounded up and thrown in prison. You should just not be allowed to walk among us normal people, because you are clearly delusioned and you don't have a grasp on reality. What is this? I don't understand. I don't live in an area where there are theaters that like penalize you for talking, which apparently is, what is that theater? The Alamo Drafthouse in various major cities. They will kick you out if you talk too many times. I think you get like one strike, and then you get kicked out. I forget what the exact ruling is, but you can't use your phone, you can't talk. I really wish that kind of thing existed around here, because I love going to the movies. It is my fucking zen place. It's fucking, it's where I have to go every once in a while. Every once in a while, I just go to a movie by myself and I just fucking chill. I'm like, this is it. And it's just ruined when some douchebag's like, I'm going to talk, or I'm going to fucking use my phone. But a movie where no one talked. Because the reason people talk in Mother, because there's so much going on, so complicated. There's so much symbolism and layering that people are just dumb, and they're like, I don't get it. And they'll, for some reason, they feel the need to blurt that out. It's like, I get you don't understand what's happening, but I do. And I don't care your lack of fucking, it's just a lack of willing to watch the movie. You're not taking in the visual language. You're just taking in the surface level of it, and you're like, this makes sense, and it's just frustrating. So it's like that kind of stuff bugs me, because it's like, if you just keep it to yourself, that'd be great, but you have to talk about it. That's annoying. I hate that stuff. It's like one of my biggest pet peeves is like this, just talking in a theater. But the other movie I did see was It, Stephen King's It, not just a thing, whatever. That was awesome. I have no concept or connection to any Stephen King stuff ever. I've never read a book of his. I've read one story that apparently was something to the effect of him getting hit by a car in real life, and he wrote a story relating to that, some short story. I read that in high school. So that was probably the only thing, but I've never read any of the horror stuff. I know no, I've never seen any of the miniseries or the movies or any of the stuff to do with Stephen King at all. I have no connection to Stephen King. So the only real thing I knew about Stephen King and It was the Nostalgia Critic did a video on the miniseries a long time ago, probably when I was still in high school. He did this, so I know like the basic premise of like it's these kids. The first half's when they're children, the second half's when they're adults. There's a monster that looks like a clown that's really a spider monster thing. That's actually an alien thing from another dimension. I learned that recently, but he didn't go into that video. That was a Comic Book Girl 19, bigger fan of it. She went into the more details of it. Pretty good video. If you care more about this stuff, like learning, she completely started like breaking down like the structures of, like apparently Stephen King has like this crazy mythos that I never knew about with this great turtle and this other dimensional being thing that it is a part of and all this stuff, and that it is a female. I didn't know that. Actually, he may have mentioned that in the Nostalgia Critic video, but I digress. And like one of the scenes I know from the book that's never been in any of these adaptations is the way they defeat the monster in the first half as children. Is they all have sex with the girl, and it's like this big, like she was explaining it. Comic Book Girl 19. This is explaining it as like this very emotional moment that's very sweet and nice. But when when you hear, she was like, she said, she was like, if you just hear me saying this, it sounds fucking crazy that like 6 kids just have sex with this one girl, and it does sound crazy. But like apparently it's a lot more emotional especially probably at that point. Like that's probably the first half of the book. So you built all this connection, this rapport with these characters, and this whole moment and stuff like that. But that's not what we're talking about. I recently rediscovered her and just watched a bunch of her shit, so good YouTube channel. Recommend her. Comic Book Girl 19. I think she's pretty famous, but I don't know. She's one of the few people. I'm going to digress again. There's a few people on the internet that I respect their opinion on movies, and it's her and YMS. Your movie sucks. That's it. If you're anyone else, no. There's a third person. Well, I guess if Best Guy Ever said something, I'd be like, all right, interesting. But he doesn't want to talk about movies. He talks more like anime and games, and I respect his opinion on those things, but because like your boy actually likes, fucking understands that One Piece is the greatest thing ever, and that Kingdom Hearts 2 is fucking one of the greatest games ever made. So your boy understands. Shout out to Nate. He'll never hear this. What was I saying? Oh, It. Right. The movie. The new movie. Fantastic. I guess I can go a little more into that because like it seems to be so commonly like a common thing that everyone seems to understand. I feel like I was the weird one for not having any kind of relationship to this series at all. Like I just have no connection to it. I've never like I said, had never really done anything with Stephen King and literally knew like even less about it. So for me, this is the first real chance of like experiencing it and experiencing just like that storyline. So things would happen and I was like, it was all new to me. It was all fresh. And fuck, it was super good. It was super good. I can only imagine that book is even better. That was fucking real spooky, real good atmosphere. The guy who played the clown, Bill Skarsgård, I think. I'm going to go with that. Skarsgård's his last name. I forget his first name. I think it's Bill. Because I remember I looked it up. I'm like, that's a weird name for a person this young. And that was just, I think it was Bill. He did a fantastic job as the clown Pennywise. Super creepy character. The one thing that super shocked me was the thing with the fucking kid in the drain in the beginning. Holy shit, didn't see that coming, and it really did a good job of setting the pace for the rest of the movie. Just all of a sudden, boom, there's fucking violence up the wazoo. It's just fucking crazy. Whoa, like it was just, I did not expect that. I always assumed that the Pennywise killings, oh, Jesus, I'm going to move my mouse because I am touching it too much. The Pennywise killings were always done like, they were implied. They were done in the background. We watched the kid maybe fall for his trick, and then he gets taken away, and then we hear a scream, or they're never seen again. Now, I don't know if that happens in any other form of this story, but in this one, no, they don't give a fuck. Everyone's getting fucking, like, people get fucked up. There's fucking, like, crazy monsters you see all the time, and, like, all this other crazy shit. Actually, a couple times it happens, like, the kid in the sewer, like, we just hear screams from the sewer. Kind of a cliche, but, I mean, it worked out. It worked for the moment. So like it, but like they'll do like I just didn't really know like what he did. I knew kind of like he like played on fear, but I didn't really have a concept what that meant. So like I wasn't sure what he did, but I really liked the concept of like this fear monster. It was super cool. Kind of reminded me of some of the stuff Mike and I were talking about with like the game thing we were talking about making. I have no idea what that is. I mean, I've done as much as I can like kind of do right now. I want to sit down with him, but he's been busy with his play. As your update on that, but kind of like that, we had a kind of similar idea where it's like a god that has like a fear control, like control over fear. And like I kind of like how Pennywise is doing that, and the way they implemented it, and like they did a really good job of like making a lot of shit really creepy. I didn't really realize that we would see so much of the monster side of him. I guess that's kind of why I always thought the murders were done off camera, because I didn't think that they would just kind of make it clear that Pennywise is like a monster. I didn't really understand that. I thought that was pretty cool. Like just kind of like seeing his jaw unhinge, or his like teeth like how many teeth, like, when he actually opened his mouth, all the teeth come out and stuff like that. So that was really cool. I did not think that was going to happen. So that took me by surprise when that first happened. And then just from there on, I just felt like it did a good job. We are in a fucking renaissance of kid actors right now. Like they are all fucking amazing. Like the one kid from Stranger Things, he's in this Finn something like Norse sounding. I don't remember. He was, I guess, the main character. He was the one that Eleven was like falling in love with. I don't remember the kid. I don't remember the character's name in Stranger Things. He's Richie in this movie. But he's in it. A couple other kids. They're all fantastic. Like they're all just doing a great job. The writing was pretty good. You know, there were some good moments in there. They're actually pretty funny. The kid from Stranger Things who played Richie, he was kind of the comic relief character, always dropping, swearing like crazy, doing a lot of shit where he was like, he would just say like crazy, like, oh, I fucked your mom though, like that kind of shit that like seems super weird when you're an adult watching it, but like as someone who recently has like come from, I'm a recent adult, that is 100% the shit that goes down when you're around, like when you're your friends as kids. You're always like, you just constantly like, once you kind of learn of this like sex, you just kind of always joke about it and make jokes and say like, I fucked your mom, that kind of shit, or like, he'll be like, this fucking dick, like all that shit still happens today. That shit's hilarious. But like, so like he was just always like really on point. My favorite line he had in that whole thing was when the girl, Beverly, I believe that's what her name was, she joins the crew. He's like, who the fuck invited this Molly Ringwald motherfucker in here? Something to that effect. And I thought that was wonderful, because like, I don't really know if that kid knows who that is, but he nailed that fucking part. And she really did look like her. She's the redheaded girl and everything like that. And like, it fit the era. And like, there's one thing I also like too, was occasionally they would drive by Main Street where there'd be a movie theater, and they would change the movies based on the month that it was. So it was Lethal Weapon 2 and Batman at one point, and then it changed to something, I forget what else. It changed to another movie later on when a couple months pass or something, and it changes the movie. And like, just nice little touches like that. We'll just update things like that. I thought that was pretty fucking swag. That's always super nice. Just when a fucking director's like, let me just pay attention for 10 seconds and fucking fix this thing, Yeah, it was really, really cool. Just cool visuals, cool fucking spooks, a lot of spooks, big scares. A big fan of that. But what was I talking about? The reason I kind of know that this movie was well done and actually pretty scary was because, I don't know if I brought it up on this show, but Don't Breathe, I saw that in theaters. Everyone, to do it short, I'll just do it short. Everyone was fucking screaming and cheering, and, they're treating it like a ride at a theme park, just screaming, cheering, throwing shit. Actually, there's some shit thrown. A guy stood up and was like, hey, can you shut the fuck up? These three or four girls who were pretty loud for most of it. And for some reason, everyone just kind of took that as an opportunity to go ham. They just started going insane, and then it became a fucking whirlwind of nonsense. But that movie wasn't scary, and it was. And I saw it. So my theory right now is never see a horror movie in a mall theater, because they get way too crowded, and once you get that many people in a room, people feed off each other's energies, and people get people. If a bunch of people start screaming on one side of the room, the other side's going to start too. And it's just going to become this whole craziness. So I try to avoid them. I couldn't for it, so I went to the same theater that I saw Don't Breathe that, and was really nervous it was going to be really bad. A couple of people next to me were talking, but they were actually talking in Spanish, so it helped. I couldn't understand them, so I could tune it out a little easier. So that wasn't bad. Their phone did go off, but whatever. I was in Logan, and some fucking woman's phone went off 3 times, and the guy in front of me was just using his phone the whole time, so I was blinded. And the woman was a woman to my right. She also was using her phone, just like texting and shit. But the woman who's on my left, whose phone went off 3 times, she answered it 3 times. I thought that was a joke. She answered the phone, "Yo, what's up? Yeah, I'm in the movies." I didn't think those people actually existed. I thought there was enough media like shaming that people just know you don't do that. But she did, and she did it 3 times. By the 3rd time, I spoke up. If there wasn't my friend between us, I would have gone too far, probably. I was so annoyed that this woman kept going. I was like, "How are you doing this for the 3rd time? I let you have your moment. I let you do your thing. What are you doing? You're crazy. Drive me insane." Even though it was the 2nd time I saw Logan, so it wasn't the end of the world. I was more flabbergasted that someone would use their phone. And because mostly, actually, the other thing too is they didn't apologize. She was just like, "Yeah, whatever, kid." I was like, okay. How do you not see yourself as the villain in this situation? Like, come on now. You're making the mistake. You're the bad guy here. Put that shit away. Let's watch the goddamn movie with some people getting cut up by a man with claws out of his hands, and then let's go fucking home. You can answer after this movie. Sure, it's long, but come on now. Take it outside. Get this shit out of here. What are you doing? Crazy. But that didn't happen. It was silent. When the spooks came, people got, "Oh God," and they got scared, and they made noise, but they got quiet again. Because everyone wanted to know what was going to happen next. They were waiting for the next big scare. They were waiting for the big spook, the big scare. And they didn't, so they kept it down. And it kind of put in perspective for me. Sure, they're not identical crowds between Don't Breathe and it, but similar, same theater, same opening weekend type thing, and horror movies. So I was very nervous. It didn't play out, but I think it's because it was just, Don't Breathe fucking sucks. Don't Breathe is a terrible movie. Adds nothing besides one cool scene where it's dark, and they kind of do a cool way of filming them in the dark. After that, total nightmare. Nothing good comes from that movie. It's fucking terrible. I almost walked out. It was the first movie I almost walked out of. So I was like, what am I gaining from this? Nothing. Why am I here? And then they go to the basement. That scene happens, and then they find something in the basement, and I'm like, all right, let's see where this goes. It's nothing, but whatever. Save for the rest of the movie. I think they're trying for a sequel for that, which is crazy. Because I think it did well. People like that movie. I don't get it. I don't understand. It was so dumb. I don't get it. I just Don't Breathe for another time. Yeah, it was so fucking cool. I just really enjoyed it. A lot of the cool monsters and shit were really cool. Like a lot of the stuff that happened was really neat. Like their fears, coming to life, and the way they would depict some of that, and the way they would just set up a camera to create the big scare to come up next, and it's kind of crazy. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know much about it, so I don't really know if the monster is necessarily toying with them, but there are several times where he's really close to fucking murdering one of these kids. And he just doesn't. And maybe it's not meant to be super scary, because we know, or as majority of the human race would know, they don't die here because they have to go to the second one. So, but I didn't know this, so I was left full of spookies, and I was like, oh no, but they wouldn't die. He would just be fucking a giant or something, or he would run at them real fast, and they would escape. So, really, it was really weird. The house he had was fucking awesome, where he would twist the house and add doors and hallways and close doors and all this shit. And the only thing, I guess there's 2, and really the second one wasn't my call. I read Max Landis' Twitter where he called this out, but it was he kind of commented on the weird floating bodies near the end, and he's like, what the fuck happened with them? It's a good question. I don't know. But the other thing I didn't like as much, and I kind of wish they did, was they have a moment after they kind of confront him face to face for the first time, and they fucking stab him and then get out. They fucking wound him. But they never mention that. A couple of kids are I can't do this. Fuck this. I'm not doing this. And the one kid's we need to stay together. If we're together, we can do this. I kind of wish he was just he could get hurt. He can die. What the fuck are we doing? I wish he pointed that out, as an argument to have them stay together, even if they didn't stay together. It just seemed like a logical, argument when they're all fuck you, I'm not staying here. The fucking monster's gonna kill me. That just seemed like literally moments ago, we witnessed you fucking stab him in the head and stun him. He can be hurt, he can die. We can do this, and he can't kill he can't kill two of us at once, which is weird. He actually can't seem to do that. I don't know if that's a thing, but like he always seemed to want to almost like what am I thinking of? I thought about this recently too, and I couldn't remember what it was. But he'll try to isolate people. Yeah, you know what it might be? It might have been one of the monsters in the swamp in Hunter x Hunter that like can't do anything. It was the Raven in Hunter x Hunter. There was a raven. It was some kind of bird that would make like its caw was like help or something to that effect, and people would run into spikes and they would eat the dead body. And it reminds me a lot of that because he can't seem to kill groups very efficiently, so he does what he can to like single target people. So he'll try to like when they're in his like lair area, he somehow distracts the one kid to like end up away from the group, which is weird because they were all like right on top of each other, and somehow he like broke away. That was the one. I also thought that was weird. It was just like, it's like, what room is he in? How did he get there? Because like it was just weird. He just kind of jumped out of a hole. I'm like, why is he alone? Why would you ever think to do this? But whatever. I think he was like hypnotized or something. And then he was trying to kill him individually and trying to eat him individually. And like, I thought that was kind of cool that like once they kind of became a group and they're like, nah, fuck you, son. They would like beat the shit out of him. It was like, he can't do anything like as easily with a group, or maybe at all. I don't even know, because I feel like he can only really focus fears in one direction. So that was cool. Yeah, it was a really fucking cool he's a really cool fucking villain. Like a really cool monster, cool power set. I like the idea of like using fear as a way to like hunt. I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, fucking really, really cool. The other thing I watched was The Tick on Amazon. I watched a little bit of The Tick back in the 90s when it was on TV. I had a couple toys of him. Thought he was cool. I remember going to Taco Bell and getting toys for The Tick. Got an Arthur toy. I thought he was cool. I remember the cartoon being fun. I was like, yeah, this is awesome. But I don't think I understood the parody of like superheroes that he was. I just kind of watched him as a superhero show, like a weird kid. But I did really like this show a lot. And I kind of want to go and rewatch the cartoon a little bit just to kind of be like, did I actually watch a lot of this? Because I remember watching it a bunch, but I guess I just didn't comprehend it. And there's more of it. Because this is only, I want to say the first half of the first season or something. It's weird. I don't remember. Amazon does a weird thing where like they release the first episode first and let people like vote on it, and if that's good, then they bring it back. But they didn't bring it back a full season. They just did like the first half of the season. It was really a weird situation with The Tick, but it's fucking hilarious. They start the first two episodes. They're kind of weak because they're far more Arthur focused, and Arthur is a goddamn wet blanket and really kind of like, all right, man, come on, like you're falling apart here. Like he's so weak as like a person. But having once The Tick becomes more prominent, he is fucking hilarious. He is so good, it's so entertaining, and like when the other characters start interacting with each other, it's really fucking fun. I was really enjoying it. So I'm like kind of I'm contemplating watching either. Amazon also has the old live action show with Patrick Warburton. Is that how he pronounces his name? I don't remember. That guy. The guy who plays the cop guy from Family Guy and Crunk from the best Disney movie, Emperor's New Groove. Debate me, because you can't win. It's the best one. I digress. But like they have that one on there, but I kind of want to watch the cartoon more. So I might go look into the cartoon, because I do want more of The Tick, because that character is fucking hilarious. And the shit that he's pulling is so funny, because he's just so crazily optimistic, and he's just so happy, and it's so fun. I thought he was so, oh my god, he was fucking killing me. Oh god, great. Could not recommend The Tick enough if you have Amazon Prime, which I assume most people do at this point, because it's just such a fantastic service. I'm not advertising for it. No one pays me to do this shit at all. I like the service. And then the last thing I watched a lot of this so far, is Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Several people have recommended this to me. I want to say Austin did, either on the show or off camera, I forget, or off mic, whatever. And then Nick also did it, recommended that I watch Full Metal Alchemist. And finally started, because I was like, fuck it, I want to watch anime, because I've been starting to read so much manga. I'm like, where's all the anime? I haven't done any of the anime. So I went and got the anime. I don't know, I'm talking like this. But yeah, so I started I got Crunchyroll again. Pretty decent service. Actually, no, not that great a service. Why can't I bookmark my goddamn shit? What is that about? Like, I don't understand. It doesn't remember the episode I was on all the time. Sometimes I watch a full episode, I stop, I queue up the next one, so that it shows that I clicked on it. And then I go back the next day, I'm 2 episodes back. It's as if I never watched the episode between them, between the new one and the one I watched. That one I watched last is completely clear. It doesn't have like a little progress bar. And I have to fucking like manually do it. It's super weird and annoying. And the PC version doesn't have an easy way, like a button on your keyboard, like no hotkey to skip to the next episode, because I enjoy myself a good ED. Don't get me wrong. A good ED is amazing. An OP is better. I'll always try to watch an OP. Like, that was the one thing I really disliked watching Death Note on Netflix. They kept trying to skip the OP. I'm like, no, bitch. These songs are dope as fuck. I want them. So I'd always have to, like, go back and rewatch them. Force the timeline back to do that. But Crunchyroll doesn't. And I understand, because that's kind of part of the culture of watching anime is you watch the OP, you watch the ED. A lot of EDs suck. I'm not going to lie. Like, a lot of them. Some of them used to good effect to call, energize a scene or whatever. Fine. Not really the case all the time. And when you're watching like 6 episodes in a row, I don't give a fuck about this fucking song. When I have to hear Let It All Out for the 9,000th time that day or whatever, I'd like to skip it. And there's no like easy way. The PS4 version, you just hit some of the bumpers and it skips right ahead. Although, that too doesn't work all the time. I don't know what that's about. It must be my internet. I don't really know what it is, because like it just doesn't load, and it's so frustrating. Like, cause I want to use it on the PS4, because I have this nice fancy TV. Actually, this TV is fucking terrible. I need to get a soundbar or something, but even that won't fix it, because when my speakers on my computer get too loud, that fucking TV buzzes also, so I don't know what's wrong with it, and I don't know how to fix it. I thought I was just taping down the back panel. I thought that was the problem, but I've done that. I did a lot, actually, and it didn't seem to fix it, so I'm not really sure what the problem is. I was going to get a soundbar and just be like, fuck this thing, but if other speakers that are not attached to it are causing it to vibrate, I don't know how to fix it now. So now I'm not sure what to do. I'm not getting a new TV, because that's way too much money. It's a decent TV. It works as a TV. It's just, I don't know how that works. This doesn't apply to anyone. I'm just thinking out loud right now, trying to fix this fucking problem. It's very annoying. I don't know why it happened. I think, honestly, I had my settings on wrong, and then certain things had really high-pitched sounds. Like, when I played Final Fantasy 13, the sound effect when Lightning took out her sword was really, really high. It was a really high-pitched noise. And I think it may have damaged the speaker because the settings were wrong and the highs were like way up. So and when I finally reconfigured it, it sounded much more muted, but I think it may have damaged it partly. Because I think it was not even just Final Fantasy 13, but like other things I had been doing with this TV. And like I think I may have damaged the speaker. I don't know. I have to check. I popped the TV open. Regardless, I don't know why I'm talking about my TV right now. That's irrelevant. But Fullmetal Alchemist is fucking awesome. It's so well done. Like, it's so cool. Like, I knew, what do you call it? I've watched what Google says is the first season, so I'm assuming that has something to do with what the Netflix season structure was. There's 64 episodes. I'm like 26 in, or 27 in or something. I watched the recap episode, which actually had story to it, so I didn't feel like I needed to skip it. I felt like it was actually kind of interesting. And I'd like to go further into that because it was structured around their father and what his deal was and like his feelings on things. I'm just going to spoil this. I feel like everyone on the planet has seen FMA, so I'm just going to go on it. The what you call it episode, the filler episode that was like kind of recapping everything, was like spliced with moments where Hohenheim was dreaming, and it seemed like he was really regretting the shit he was trying to pull with like this mass murder he was about to perform to then, I assume, gain eternal life. I don't know for sure if that's what his plan is, or because we have not actually met him. I think the next episode is literally called Father, so I think that's when everyone's going to meet him. And then we'll maybe hear more of his plan, but I'm not exactly sure what his plan is. I'm just assuming that he's trying to create like this crazy Philosopher's Stone by doing a mass murder of the entirety of this country, and then when he does that, he'll have full immortality. Because the amount of times he's pulled it off, or he's trying to create some giant crazy homunculus, because I think that also might be part of it. I'm not 100% certain again, but like the fact that their mother's hair was also black makes me think that when you do human transmutation, you just create a homunculus with potentially the soul of another in it, because Owl got into their potential mother's ghoul thing, souls. That may be a homunculus. Again, I don't know these things. I might be completely wrong. I might be right. I don't know. Just a theory I had while I was watching it, because the way they kind of structured it. Because all the homunculus have black hair. Am I wrong? I think they do. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they all have black hair. And like the mother thing had black hair. I don't know why they point that out otherwise. But yeah, I really like fucking the two kids. I don't know what I was about to say there, but like I really like the two kids. I like them a lot. Al and Edward. I think they're fucking rad. They're pretty fucking badass. I really like the way I mean, I don't fully grasp all of like alchemy, because a lot of times it seems like you just kind of throw ground at people. Like you just put your hands together, put on the ground, and then launch like ground spikes at the enemy. And like a lot of times it does kind of work, but like I don't. That's the other thing too. There's a couple times where Edward's fighting, and throughout the entire show, he does not need a transmutation circle, which is, again, a kind of a cool limit, where like you see like Mustang will put on his glove, and then like, he had to carve into his hand at one point. Really cool shit. I actually like that a lot. That's pretty cool. But not having to do that, he just kind of like, when he's fighting the ghost armor person in the 5th laboratory, he just kind of created the wrist blade he has, and then he just kind of fought him. And it's like, I was like, if I had his power to just kind of like create anything, like, no battlefield would be the same after I left it. I would be throwing ground at people, be like pulling pillars straight out at things, and like causing crazy nonsense. Because like, why not, right? Especially the ground. I mean, maybe if you wanted to pull like pillars and shit, you might kill yourself with pulling down the roof because you lower the pillar initially or something, because the equivalent exchange. But like, why would you not just constantly throw yourself through the fucking floor, throw giant floor walls up and do all of this crazy shit? I would do it all the time. Like, that'd be super sick. And occasionally they'll talk about the chemistry that they're doing, and I always think that's way cooler when they bring up the chemistry that would make up, like when they were fighting Envy, and they were in the gluttony, fake truth zone heaven thing. And there was all his blood, and he was like, I need a weapon. He's like, there's plenty of iron right here, and he just like pulled the sword out of the blood. Like, that was cool. They like actually included that. But I do like how it's like, it's basically our world, but it's our world if magic existed, and it's like where, and then you see like how the two like when the Xing people, and like their like use of alchemy as like a healing agent, like doing things with, like, they're using alchemy. They use alchemy, but they do it in a different way because they're a different culture. They're separated by this giant desert, and then you see that I forget the fucking country they're from, but the main country that the main story takes place, I guess the Europe stand-in for this thing, because I think Xing's supposed to be like a Chinese stand-in. So the like Europe stand-in or Germany stand-in or whatever this is supposed to be, they use it militaristically, and they use it for like science. So alchemy is like, there's no, like, it's not like a religious thing. It's science, and it's for the military, and it's a very cool, like, how the same thing exists in two different places and is used in two different dramatic ways. Like, things happen in our world like that, and I thought that was, but like, it's kind of cool, because also, if magic like that existed, if alchemy existed like that, to that effect, why would you fucking ever do it? Like, you would, like, that would dictate the way our world moved and worked. It wouldn't just, it wouldn't be like a fucking horse carriage, or like, this is the everything. It's like, obviously something's going to come and beat that, but if, like, literally magic is magic, it's the best thing you can ever do. You can create anything. And like, sure, you get better the more science you know, which I think is pretty cool. So like, the smarter, like, Edward is I really feel like so much smarter than his father. Like, maybe he doesn't have all the pieces like his father does, but like, he is so much smarter than Hohenheim. It's crazy. Like, it's just, he just, like, I mean, he fucking figured out how to get out of gluttony. Jesus. Which, he couldn't figure out. He was like, I fuck gluttony up. He's done for. But really, really cool. I really like just the whole way everything is going right now. I do hope more, like, because it seems like such a grounded, concrete series with all this science and stuff like that. And I just kind of hope that, we get a couple more answers for things. We get the, what do you call it? I can't remember what I'm trying to say. Oh, like, exactly what, like, these, how to exactly kill a homunculus. Like, because a lot of times it seems like just incredible damage, just sustained over and over again. Particularly fire, for some reason. It's always been fire, because that's the one thing feasibly we can have that can constantly create constant damage. So I would just kind of like a little more detail and all that kind of stuff. Like, can you just, like, if Edward just wanted to kill Envy, could he just attack his tongue and like murder him right away? Stuff like that. I'd be interested in figuring that out. But really, really cool. Like, every time I'm watching it, I'm like, fuck, I can't put on the next one. Like, I literally I cannot not watch more of this. Like, this is fucking so cool. There's so much cool shit happening. And it's just so fucking cool. It's been a fun trip. And I can kind of see why it's like, Jesus, I kind of can see why it's this big thing that everyone talks about. I mean, at this point, I'm like a decade late to the fucking party, but, I was actually watching some video. It was like parodying, like, anime you have to watch. And one of the answers was like, Death Note, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. And it was like third one or something. Where it was just like, these are the animes everyone watches. And they're always going to be in your top 5, but they can't be your favorite. It's just, it's that kind of shit that this series, like these very popular series are that everyone watches. I think Attack on Titan or One Punch Man was the other one. I forget. But yeah, like everyone's watched this shit. Everyone loves this shit. But like, it's, when it comes down to the nitty gritty of the debate of what's your favorite anime, it's never like, you very rarely hear those ones thrown out there, or else it can be used as fodder against you, like, oh, your entry level plebe tier favorite and that kind of stuff. Because the anime community is stupid, but I love it. I love stupid arguments about stupid bullshit. Oh, god damn it, feed me all day with that shit. Because it's just the best. Why argue about stuff that really matters? Because it fucking actually doesn't. So let's argue about which fucking rice cartoon is the best. My Chinese finger painting is better than yours. But regardless, what was I saying? Yeah, it's been really, really cool. I really like that show. I really look forward to getting through it. I'm not even halfway done. There's 64 episodes. I'm like barely halfway there. So, well, I'm like close to the halfway point, but I'm not exactly there. It's a weird place to have a first season cutoff, but whatever. We'll see what happens. I guess the last thing I'm going to talk about, and I have quite a bit to say, I think, because it's been kind of the focus of my life. So I went to a wedding last weekend. So I was in the car. I was in Pittsburgh. So it was a long drive. And we had to go down to the city and pick that up and do all this shit. So we were in the car for a long time. And so I just kind of fucked around a little bit the first trip there, but on the way back, which is about like 10 to 12 hours driving, it was a lot of driving, I played a fucking shitload of Dragon Quest 3. So I got on my phone, and I think I mentioned a little bit on the show, had some problems with the second one, did not really like the way the pacing worked, the way quests work, how things were explained or did stuff, and the way things were laid out. I'm not a huge fan. Because a lot of times, in these 3 Dragon Quest games I've played, there comes a time where generally when you get the boat, you lose track of what the fuck you're supposed to do, and then you just kind of, well, this was a dead end. I'm going to go in this direction and try to figure out what to do here, and then you just kind of go to where you haven't gone on the map and figure out if there's more stuff to do. And occasionally you run into a quest, you're like, I'll take care of this, and you do it. But I feel like 3 is so well done, because it really it understands that's the point, and the only real complaint I have is I don't know how many orbs I'm supposed to collect. I'm collecting these colored orbs. I have 2 of them. I don't know how many I'm supposed to get. A guy kind of mentioned orbs, and that was the first time I heard orbs, but now I kind of just go get orbs, and that's like my thing. I get orbs. I don't know. But besides that, everything is so well done. Like right now, I am trying to figure out this puzzle, and like that's the cool thing about like the RPGs and stuff. But this one is hitting it the best for me, because it treats it kind of just treats the world as this greater thing, and to have what do you call it? Like, so right now, I know of this place. So I went to the city, and the king is possessed, and they're like, what the fuck is wrong with the king? He's just straight up murdering his fucking people in the town if they just talk out to him or do this or do that. And so I am like, someone had mentioned, one of the townsfolk was like, he's probably a monster or something. Or maybe they saw him become a monster. And I actually know what it was. No, I met the actual king. He was like, that's a monster in disguise. I don't know why he's doing this. We have to stop him. Go to this place and get the Ra's mirror, which Ra's mirror was from the second game that reveals something's true form. That's how you got the princess girl character. You showed it to a dog. It was that weird puzzle that I didn't understand. I don't know. It was a weird one. But like, this is just like, all right, so I got the mirror. And then several times this guy has been mentioned who's been thrown in a prison. And he's been thrown in this prison in this lake. And I need to get to this prison. I think he has a sword I need to kill this guy. I'm not entirely sure. Or maybe, I forget. But I need to go to this prison. To get to this prison, it's in the middle of this lake. I took this river down, And the river, when I got into the mouth of the lake, there's this ghost woman who pushed me back. And then that ghost woman is the lover of someone else. Someone had mentioned in another town that there's she loved her lover was on a boat and the boat sunk, and there's a ghost ship that he's on that I have to go find. A bard. I'm literally using bard songs to figure out what the fuck these puzzles are. I'm like going around to towns, listening to bard songs and being like, okay, you mentioned the lover, and then he's in the cold water. There's a part here that's really cool, like all this ice area is right here, so he's probably somewhere in this area. This area is huge. Let me go talk to some other people in some other towns, try to figure out the information they want to tell me, because this is not the first time I've heard of this guy. That's the other thing too, is occasionally, like, this game does a really good thing, which 2 didn't do as well, where you go to a town, most of the people in the town are going to talk about the quest that revolves around that town. And that's the other thing too is really cool, is like, it feels like I'm on an adventure. You know, I'm going to these things. I'm taking care of these quests. I'm taking care of these jobs. I'm fixing these. I'm solving these people's problems town by town. I'm off on this quest. I'm this big badass, and so I'm off doing these things, and I am. But like, there's also people in the towns that either tell you where to go next. They'll be like, "Hey, have you tried looking for the ultimate key?" Or, you know, "Have you gone and got this?" And da da da. I'm like, "Okay, I don't know what that is. I'm gonna go look into that." So I go to the next town. I go to this, and then they're talking about the ultimate key now. I'm closer to that now. I got this now, and so people will do that. And so there'll be occasionally some people in towns that don't talk about the main story of that town, and they'll just mention something offhanded. So you'll talk to someone who talk to a bard. A bard seem to be the place for like a lot of really weird cryptic information that you want to try to unravel. Once you start getting some of the pieces together, like, okay, now I see what you were talking about. I can kind of see that. There's these people that are like, "Hey man, there's this fucking ghost boat or something." Like, people keep mentioning this boat, and I like, it's been like super infrequent, because I think it's kind of supposed to be a later game thing, so you're not really supposed to go looking for this thing right away. So I'm kind of like, oh, okay, I should go to this boat. I should go do that. Like, you find it now. Like, I'm like, you know, I keep hearing about it, but like occasionally, people will directly tell you where it is. They're like, if you just go fucking right here, it's gonna be right there. So I'm like, okay, I'll just go do that. And a lot of times I have done that, where I take the boat and I go to the spot that these people are talking about. I'm like, cool, I found this thing. Cool, great. So, but I need to go like look around for stuff. And the other thing I'm trying to look for too is it's some flute that apparently goes off when you're near an orb, so that'll probably be helpful for this crazy quest I'm on. But, the other thing that I thought was really fucking cool about this game is, so when the game starts, you take a personality test. I believe that might be the only from like the remake onward. I don't think the Dragon Warrior version has this, but it is the phone version is like the official version. It's like, it's got all the current translations for the spell names and all that shit. So, you take a personality quiz at the beginning. And you answer a couple questions. You give them your true name, your birthday, blah blah blah. You tell the game about you, and then it sets you up in a scenario where, I don't know if it's different or maybe it's for everyone, but it was like a woman and her lover were trapped in a desert, and it's like, hey, we have enough water for you to try to get out, and maybe you can get out and save him, and blah blah blah. And they have this little conversation. You pick, does she stay or does she leave? And I did the whole test. I answered all the questions, and the game believes that I'm a piece of shit. Can't necessarily disagree, but like, when I looked into it, I got the personality type of thug, which is the second worst personality type in the game. I forget what the exact worst one is, but it's pretty fucking terrible. So like, there's a little chart on the wiki that'll show you, because each personality trait gives you a percentage bonus to, it's kind of like natures in Pokemon, where certain stats gain more points than other stats based on which ones you have. And apparently, to min-max the game, you got to go all-female party and try to get Vamp for everyone, which is the absolute best personality type. Also, I think it's called Sexy too or something. I forget. Sexy, I think, is the other name for it in some other translations. But it's like the ultimate. That's how you min-max the shit out of this game. Your entire party is made of females. Everyone has a Vamp. But I didn't do that because I don't really care. I want to play myself. And so apparently I'm a total piece of shit. So I could have restarted the game, looked up a guide of this thing, and gotten the best option and moved forward. But there are ways to change your personality throughout the game. There are books and there are items that will grant you new personalities. And they'll change the way you level up and stuff. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to actually change this. I'm not gonna restart. I'm just going to an additional part of role playing, where I need to not only learn to be a better fighter, but be a better person. And so as I went through the game, I was finding books that would anything to get me to not be a thug, but I was changing each one. So I'd find a book, I'd read it, and I would see if, like, I'd go, okay, now I'm this. And, like, I knew which kind of ones I was looking for. I saw, like, a list of, like, the best male ones you could get. And so ultimately, I've gone from a thug to a paragon. Paragon's my current one, which is, like, one of the best, maybe I forget if it's the best male one, but I'm, like, kind of comfortable, like, stopping at that point where it's, like, I went from, like, this shitty, like, kid, I'm like, yeah, fuck you, it's, like, all this shit, where I'm now, like, actually becoming, like, the hero that you're supposed to be. And I thought that was such a cool fucking way to roleplay this character and actually bring myself into becoming a better person, even though it only really affects my stats. But, like, being like, all right, I'm a piece of shit. You're right. Let me figure out how to better this so that I can be a better... Because I was inarguably the worst party member for so long. I had no health. I had such weak attack. I was terrible, super slow, and I think just the hero class levels up slower. I'm not particularly sure. I looked up a chart of, like, XP, and I think eventually they become the faster levelers, so they get to 99 faster or something. But I was always behind on levels. I was always had low stats. I was really shitty, and so through just perseverance of trying to change my personality, trying to become a better person, and then just hoarding all of the power-ups, like they scattered throughout the world. There are these seeds that add stats. So there's a seed of life that adds your health, seed of strength, blah, blah, etc., etc. And so I've just been hoarding these things, just fucking pop them all myself. And so finally, I've become, like, one of the best party members, if not the best. Like, my warrior, she's pretty fantastic, and I actually love her a lot. So, like, I'm not entirely... I don't know if I would... Sometimes she does, like, crazy damage. Sometimes I do. Obviously, it's dice rolls and shit, so stuff might be slightly different. But, like, finally, after, like, really, like... grinding myself, trying to make myself better to help the team and become the hero that you're supposed to be. It has really fucking been a fantastic little experiment, this little journey, like, trying to actually become a better person. And then, because, like, the third one is the prequel to the first two, where in the first two, you're constantly hearing about Erdrick, this crazy hero. He's the best hero ever. You're his, like, descendants. He's the greatest hero of all time. Oh my God, he's so amazing. He did everything. He saved the world. He was such a great guy. I'm like, okay, that's great. So now you're playing as Erdrick. You're Erdrick. You're the fucking greatest. And never having, and, like, kind of, or rather, coming from this place where I was a total dumpster fire person to actually starting to become, like, a real person, the hero I'm meant to be, that destiny has decided that I am, was a really fucking cool... It's been a cool little journey. I don't think I'm close to being done with that game. I'm not sure. I might literally have to look up how many orbs there are, because I really have no idea how many I'm looking for, and I only kind of vaguely know where I'm supposed to go. There's a volcano somewhere. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll just have to... Just so I have an understanding of where I am, because I might be close to done. I don't know. If I can find this boat in the cold water, I'll probably be okay, but I actually don't really know. I'm not entirely sure where I'm supposed to... I think that's... I'm going to go to a bunch of towns and talk to a bunch of people and try to figure some stuff out, now that I have some more pieces together. And I also have, like, all the best keys, so I can go in all the rooms I may have missed or whatever. So, although I think I've pretty much felt myself out, I'm kind of comfortable, like, that's what I'm supposed to do. One of my favorite things to do in all RPGs is when you start finding equipment as opposed to buying it, then you have really fucking cool, unique stuff. And, like, all your weapons, I have a cool sword and fucking cool armor that's unique, and everyone's kind of unique and stuff. Everyone's got a cool thing going on. Like, it feels like an adventure. You're going off, you're finding equipment, you're finding this stuff. You do this cool mission with this cool thing. You kill this dragon, you drop a sword. It doesn't make sense, but it's cool. Who cares? It's that kind of stuff. I really, really like that. I think it's really fun to kind of go off exploring and really try to discover. Like, it benefits you to go and explore the world and stuff. And actually, the other thing, too, this game does that's really cool is they added mini-medals in this one. Apparently, it's like a long stay in the series, mini-medals, where you go around, you look at stuff, and, oh, hey, look, a medal. And you collect these things, and then you can go to this guy in the first town, and he's, like, buried in a well. And I only knew you could really go into wells because you could do it in 8, and that's the only one I've really played before these first 3. And you bottom of the well, he's got a little house, and you go in there and you can trade him these medals, and he'll give you really cool fucking weapons, and occasionally some accessories and stuff. But he'll give you really cool weapons and stuff. And it's like every 5 or so that you collect, he'll give you a new thing. Occasionally there's a gap, but it's just really fucking cool to be like, oh, cool, I got these things. Oh, you know what? I got a bunch of these things. Let me go back and see what I can get. And you go and you turn them in. And you're like, oh, shit, look at this. And you get like, I think that might have been where you got the first boomerang. I forget. Maybe I got somewhere else. I don't remember. I think I got a boomerang from him. And you get like a whip from him. They added whips and boomerangs in this game. That's new. Whips are cool. They do AoE damage, because the way Dragon Quest works is you do damage to blocks of enemies. So if everyone's the same type, most of the time, you can then, if you do an AoE spell, you can damage all of them. Occasionally, they're split up. So if there's 4 enemies, sometimes it's a group of 3, a group of 1, and you have to, like, even though they're the same enemy, you can't hit them all at once. But generally speaking, you can hit all of them. And whips hit all groups, similar to a normal AoE spell would. And then boomerangs hit everyone. So boomerangs are really good for like grinding, and the cool thing is you can switch equipment without losing your turn. So it's really no downside to keep a boomerang with you. So I keep a boomerang with me at all times, and I have like a main like heavy sword or an axe or something, like a main hand weapon. So when there's a single enemy, or if there's just 2 enemies that are kind of strong, or like a boss, I'll switch the sword and just try to hammer away at him. Where if I'm just sailing the seas, running into a bunch of fucking Man of War slimes, it's like, fuck these guys, and I throw my boomerang at them, try to kill as many as I can. And I think it's just so fucking cool. It's just a cool idea to think that like I have like a boomerang on a sling and a big sword on my back, and I pull that out and I switch the boomerang. It's just like a cool look as I switch weapons and stuff, and I go and attack some stuff. And another thing I really like that they do is so like in Final Fantasy, it's very common for a weapon to have an attribute or an effect on hit. So an ice brand, for example, does ice damage on hit. The death dart from 6 has a 25% chance of causing an insta kill. Stuff like that. Weapons have these effects. Dragon Quest doesn't have on hit effects. They have use effects. So everything has like an active ability that you can utilize. So when you go into your inventory, you hit use, and then your weapon has a spell attached to it. And it's really cool because a lot of the stabs that you can give your mages can cast some of the spells they're going to use for free. So right now I have a spell on my cleric who's using the wind spell for free every time he wants to use the wind spell. I don't use the actual spell he has. He just casts it from his staff, and it's the same spell. The mage I have, she's the thunder staff, so she's casting thunder or whatever the lightning spell is. I don't know. The particle effect looks like fire, but it says a lightning bolt comes out and strikes. So I'm assuming, I could double check exactly what spell it's casting. It might just be casting like sizzle or something, which is a AoE fire move. But like it's cool. Like she can just cast a spell for free. Like I haven't cast a normal spell. It's not a buff out of her, like a damage spell in so long. Like it's super cool that you can just like. You have like these cool free spells that you can use, and swords have them, shields randomly have them. Like different equipment can just have effects, and like this kind of thing existed in Final Fantasy 1, like the what they call the Giant's Gauntlets. They gave you bravery or whatever that spell is called. Was it bravery? Or no, I forget what the spell is called, but it basically gave you like increased speed and increased attack, and it had no limit on how many times you could cast on yourself. So you could just spam that on. Like that's how I beat the last boss. I just fucking like steroided up my fighter, and then he just ran at the boss and 2-shot him. So it's cool. It's cool to see that shit. You can just kind of like you're constantly like powering up. You can like use it. You can get a buff from your thing by casting on yourself. Some things will heal you. Some things whatever. It's super cool to like have these things out there that can cast spells and do this cool shit. I'm a big fan of just what Dragon Quest is trying to do. And like I'm really looking forward to ultimately playing 11, because the more and more I look at 11 looks super dope. What else is there? Oh, I guess one more thing. I have not played it yet because that's not out, but the TGS just happened in Japan, the Tokyo Game Show. Last night was Sony's press conference, and the only real thing that stuck out to me was they announced what is that fucking game? Final Fantasy IX for PS4. And I like Final Fantasy IX. For the longest time, it was my favorite Final Fantasy game. But upon replaying it, the latter half of the game, I think, falls off kind of hard. So I think 7 actually is going to takes the crown for the best one. But I don't dislike it. I do like 9 a lot. I don't know what's my third spot. Have I ever talked about this? That spot is ever rotating. Actually, anything under 1 is ever rotating. I don't know if it's 9, 12, or 6, which belongs in the second spot. Those three games, I don't know how I would shift those around for the top 4. Those 3 games plus 7. 7 has the number 1 spot. I don't think anything's going to knock 7 from the number 1 seat. But the way those last 3 ones fall for the top 3, I don't really know how it'd play out. Day to day, that changes. And 1. I would also put 1 in that. So top 5. So actually be top 5. I can never really nail it down. But I do love 6, 9, and 12 a lot. And I really want to get to the Zodiac Age for the PS4. I do own it, sitting right there. I do want to get to it eventually and just see. I really feel like that would benefit that game a lot to have the job board as opposed to just everyone kind of doing the same thing. And there's no variety until the very end of the game when you just have like only one set of some of the best equipment. So you only have one set of Genji armor and Genji gloves and Genji helmets. You're like, okay, that goes to this guy. This is what you wear now. And like, so that's really the only time you ever see variety in your party and like what equipment they're using. So I feel like that will only benefit that game to have kind of specialization and like, actually having a mage or something like that. So that'll be kind of fun. But 9's going to come out for the PS4. And I'm very close to getting 100% platinum in the 7 version for PS4. All I gotta do is sit down and basically get to the date scene, which is still on disc 1, and you do the Barrett date scene and I get the platinum. So I just have to sit down and do it one day. I'll probably do it. That'll probably be like the first like test stream I do once I get some of the equipment done that I need to do for that, just to kind of test some stuff out with like sound and all that shit. At least that's kind of my plan right now. So I'll just 100% that right there. But the trophy list for Final Fantasy 9 came out, and holy dick suck, that shit's hard. Oh my god, there are things in there that I didn't even recognize. And I've played the 9. I've been playing 9 since 2000 when it came out. I've been playing the game forever. And there are things in that game I do not recognize. It's such a verbose list that certainly you're doing everything. You've done every fucking thing. Like the 1,000 jump rope thing, which I forget what that gives you. It gives you some item. The one that's really hard doesn't sound hard. But if you know the game, it's actually kind of tricky. I didn't notice it until I looked back the second time today. So I looked through it and I was like, fucking what? Let me see if I can pull it up. Because there's a couple on here, like get Excalibur 2, which I forget the exact details, but it's something to the effect of you have to get to one of the last rooms of the game within 20 hours, 24 hours, something to that effect. So this item will disappear if you don't get to this room within this many hours. I want to say it's 24. I can't remember specifics, but like, a crazy thing. We're like, that sounds really hard. Like that's hard to do. I would never do that in a single playthrough. That would be definitely like one of the last trophies I would get. Because it's on a timer, and like the timer is so specific. And like, I actually, I want to say it's the PAL version of the game, the European version, PAL. You cannot get that weapon, the PS1 version, because the way the frame rate or something, the refresh rate or something is different in that version that actually makes it physically impossible, no matter how fast you play, to get that item. Super weird. But yeah, I got it right here. So like a couple of these things, like there's one for getting level 99 Chocobo Break. That's so annoying. Like you really, to get everything from that mini game, you don't even have to come close to that number. Like that's so much work. It's so time consuming. The Stiltskin one, not hard if you know where to go, but he is missable. Now that one is pretty annoying. Let's see here, what's some other crazy ones? But like it was just such a nuts, like that game is so nuts. Like 1,000 jump ropes without tripping. Which is it doesn't give you anything. I'm pretty sure it gives you like what Final Fantasy used to do for the longest time, when they'd give you like in-game trophies, where it's like, hey, you took the time to do this weird thing a whole bunch. Have a thing. And so when you're talking with your friends, you're like, yeah, fucking look at this shit. So like they would do that shit a lot, which, whatever. Have the Nobles demand an encore is one of them. I don't remember specifically if that means you have to get 100 out of 100, or if that means you just have to do it once, because I feel like they always call for an encore so that you can attempt for that 100 out of 100 Nobles. But you need a moonstone, 4 moonstones, which one of the only moonstones I'm pretty sure is if you get the 100%, then you can get that. I think it's if you get the 100 out of 100 Nobles, the Queen gives you the moonstone, which, most of the time when I play, I try to get the silk shirt, because I want to say the silk shirt has, am I wrong? It has electric resistance. So like, which one of the first bosses I feel like casts electricity. Am I wrong on that? I feel like the cage boss, the plant cage boss, casts electricity. Whatever. There's a reason. I forget what the reason was. 100 triple triad matches. Although apparently you can replay matches to make that count, but still, you have to win 100 triple triad matches not triple triad, Tetramaster, which is not a great game. Triple Triad's way better. This one sounds crazy. It's get a single character affected with every status effect, including benefit ones and bad ones. So that sounds crazy. I don't know how hard that is, but whatever. The Moonstone one is pretty tricky if you don't know where those are. Very good omen from the color fountain. I don't know what that means. I played this game for years, like almost 2 decades. I have no idea what that means. So like, yeah, it's just, this is going to be a nuts list. Like, this is just crazy. So I don't know if I'm getting that platinum, although I do love 9. I don't know how much I'm going to actually go through with this because this one's crazy. But, I mean, the jump rope one is going to be particularly hard on modern TVs because it's very specific and very precise, and they get faster and shit. It's crazy. But to get that shit, you need to have, like a very responsive TV. So I'll be very interested to see how, if they change like the like refresh rate on that shit, not the input, like the input lag. That's what I'm trying to say. Maybe refresh rate actually is the term I want. Whatever, it doesn't matter. But I'd like to see if they change any of that shit because that will be really hard to do, especially with the duel for the Encore. That one will be pretty tough because I think it's determined on how fast you hit each button. I've only gotten 99. I've never gotten all 100 out of 100 nobles, please. I mean, that's kind of like a meme within like Final Fantasy 9 fans is like, fucking, there's a gif of a bunch of people clapping at like some event, and it's just Peter Dinklage like not, and just zooms in on his face, and everyone always names that file 99 of 100 nobles are pleased or something, and it's just like, it's so hard to do. So like, I'll be interested to see where that goes, but I'm looking forward to playing 9 again on something kind of newer, because I just like 9. And like, honestly, the one thing that I really, really want to happen with this remake is a remake re-release, that they speed the fucking game up. Load times between battles, trance, and the actual ATB gauge are so slow. The ATB gauge on max speed is a fucking snail's pace. It's so slow. Like, if you don't have haste on, you're waiting so long between turns. It's crazy. It's so slow. And like, if you go into trance on the PS1, it chugs a little bit as the transition happens. So like, hopefully they fix that. I mean, they fixed it for Kingdom Hearts 2 when you go into drive forms, I believe. I actually haven't touched Kingdom Hearts 2 on the PS4 yet. All I've heard is that the drive form thing was fixed, because in the PS3 version, and I think the PS2 version, it's been a while since I played the PS2 version, but every time you enter the drive form, the game will chug, but the game won't stop. The game, not clock, but the game, I guess the game clock, the inner workings of the game still move. You can be killed with this while this is happening, because the game is still running. So what a lot of people do, who are like, when you play on a higher difficulty, like critical or something, and like, every fucking bit of health counts, and sometimes you don't want to, it's like, some drive forms, or is it all drive forms? All drive forms will fill your health. So sometimes I would activate a drive form and then cancel the drive form just so I had a full health, to kind of heal myself. Or is that fucking, I think it was drive forms, yeah. But you'd pause the game. You have to pause the game, and like, you wait for the E, so in pause, the E is upside down, and it bounces up and then recorrects itself. By the time it recorrects itself, you can unpause, and it'll catch right back up. The game will like have loaded. So it's called like drive buffering. So every time you enter a drive form, you buffer the drive by pausing the game. So I'm pretty sure they fixed it in the PS4 version. Again, I haven't touched it yet. I have tried, speaking of Kingdom Hearts and PS4 versions, I'm trying a challenge run for my cousin right now of Kingdom Hearts 1, no changing equipment, proud mode, no continues, under 15 hours. And holy shit, that's so hard, but I'm actually having a lot of fun with it. Trying to really figure stuff out. The game may have broken a little bit at the hot centipede, because that fight took way too long. I'm not really sure why, but I basically grinded for like a couple levels, got scanned, and like I just beat him right away because now I could see his health bar. But for a while, he wasn't dying. I feel like I wasted like a half hour on that fight, but it takes so long to kill things. Oh my god, you do no damage. It's so crazy. I'm so weak. And so a few things I want to look into before I keep going, because I'm on Riku 2. I've done it in 9 hours so far. And so I have Riku 2, you turn to Heartless, you run back, you gotta come back to Hollow Bastion, you do the Behemoth fight, lock Hollow Bastion. I want to say you go back to Traverse Town for a minute, and then you go back, and you go to the end of the world, and you go through the end of the world. I want to say there's a couple fights. There's a Chernobog fight, which is really hard. Not necessarily hard, just really time consuming. He has a lot of health. And then Because he does have a pretty... No, actually, he does that fucking weird orb attack, which is kind of hard to dodge if you're not careful. Because, like, the best way you can do is probably fly behind him so they hit himself. Don't do damage, of course, but they just interrupt on himself. But then he'll probably cause... I don't know, it's been a while since I played the fight, but if I'm not mistaken, you gotta wait for the orbs to hit him, immediately book it, so when he goes for the pillar flame, you don't get hit with that attack. I'm just thinking out loud now. But that fight's really hard, and then you got, like, the few handsome fights, and the game's over. But it's really tough. Like, you do no damage. So my thought process is figure out what level I am, because I forget what level I am. Just check a guide on what my next level ups would be. So if it would be worth it to level up, because right now, I think I'm proud. I don't believe you're getting higher than 60 health. I want to say like 55 health. So it really doesn't matter about health anymore. Health's irrelevant. Those things right now are going to pretty much come close to one-shotting me anyway. So not going to really worry about health too much. If it happens, great. Otherwise, who cares? I don't really think I need any more abilities right now, so really all I'm looking for is more strength, just so I can hit a little bit harder and speed some of this shit up. Because it's fatiguing. Oh my god, some of these Maleficent fights, it's really, really long and really tiring. Like, it's crazy how long you're going for. Like, the both Maleficent fights, I think the first one took 15 minutes, the second one took 20 minutes to beat, the one she's a dragon. And the only way I could do it is I would summon Tinkerbell, I would smack her in the head a few times, and like as soon as she started moving, I'd back out, and I just glided around the room to heal. And like the best way to do it, I found, was there's like vines all around the side of the room. Jump onto a vine and then just glide in a circle and let Tinkerbell heal you as you just declined in like through the circle. Because like as you glide, you slowly fall and you slowly descend to the ground. So I would just glide and just let it slowly descend as I turn, like I just fly around the room. He let her heal me, and then try to go and get some MP by hitting her a bunch. And then anytime she, even if I had a thought that she might be going for the tail swipe, just fucking book it. There's no way I'm gonna risk this fucking tail swipe. Occasionally, I think you might be able to clash with it. I never did it, so I just fucking booked it and let her tail swiped, and then just fucking came back, tried to hit her head. It took forever because you do fucking peanut damage. You're so weak. So I'm going to maybe try to, like, I don't know how much leveling up's going to matter. I have a lot of time. I have like 6 hours to beat like 4 or 5 bosses. So not the end of the world. I can do it. That's probably like another 2 hours of play maybe. I forget exactly. So not going to be too super hard. Do have time to grind if I want to. But what I thought about was I might go to the synth shop and see if I can just make attack ups and just use a fuckload of attack ups. So I can at least just get through the game. Because the first time I did this challenge, not the proud mode one, the no continues, no equipment, I did it on beginner, and I did it for my cousin again. I got up to Chernobog. I'm like, why the fuck is this so hard? And what it turned out was I was super weak, but on beginner they give you a fuckload of attack ups and a fuckload of defense ups, and like so many that I took all of them and was doing like comparable damage of like, I'm not gonna say having Oblivion equipped, but like pretty close-ish. So it was pretty nice. Where like I was like, okay, I can finally beat this guy at a reasonable pace, and like it's not the end of the world. Like it's just not going crazy. Luckily, there's no enrage timer in this game. Like, oh my god, this would be impossible if there's an enrage timer. If it's like you just took too long before they fucking did crazy damage, that'd be miserable. But it's tough. It is a real tough challenge. I do plan on beating this though. I do plan on making this like through this whole thing, which would be really cool. That'll be a nice little feather in my video game cap that I can beat Kingdom Hearts 1 with no equipment change. No, I'm proud, no continues, under 15 hours. Because just a couple of those combined, not hard at all. Not even a little. But all of them on top of each other, oh my god, it's so tough. It's so tough. Because you beat some of these bosses. Luckily, actually, the nice thing is the no continues and 15-hour one actually work really well together because it sets your clock back. Thank God. So every time you die, you go to continue, you go to a save point, it will reset your clock back to wherever it was. Because if you hit load, or if you hit continue instead of load, it will just continue your clock where you were. Like it won't ever like break it up, and then you just go right back in the boss fight. So if you every time you load and not do continues, it actually will save you time. So even though I probably was at his house playing for like 9 to 10 hours straight of this fucking game. Like I played so much. Like my thumb was hurting from just like spamming X and stuff like that. That like, it will it saves you a lot, but you are wasting a lot of time. I was wasting so much time when I was playing that. You just do no damage. It's crazy. But with that, I think I'm going to wrap up for today. This is good. just kind of rambling and ranting about nonsense. But that's why you're here. I'm going to put this one up soon-ish. I'm going to actually put podcast in the, what do you call them? What are those things called? The fucking little terms you got to put in when you put on a video and on SoundCloud. Oh my God, why can't I remember what these are called? Tags. There we go. I'm going to actually put podcasts in the tags. Realized it the other day. I've done 22, 23 episodes, whatever this is. And I've never put podcasts in the tags. Like, that's going to make it really hard for people to find this. Like, what am I doing? So I will do that. But thanks for chilling, listening to my rambling. I've been listening to a lot more like solo podcasts, so I've been looking forward to doing this one. Even though I'm not a huge fan of the whole Bill Burr podcast, mostly the questions part. The part where he just rambles on for like an hour and a half, I'm a big fan. Or like an hour. I like that a lot. It's just the questions thing I don't care about. I don't know these people. I don't care. I want to listen to him fucking get in on it. Thinking deep, actually, or whatever he's fucking going on about. It's good stuff. Kevin Smith just did one big, that was a big fucking, like, this is, inspiration. Like, this is fucking dope. Like, you don't want to do more of this shit. So, but with that, I think I'm gonna wrap up here. Thanks for listening. I hope my incoherent rambling was even a little coherent, and you've learned, gained, and go see Mother, unless you're dumb. And then don't, because then you're just going to bitch about the movie when it's actually good. And you just chose not to learn film language. That's what you should do. Learn how to read film language so that you can enjoy Mother. Or don't. I don't care. Play Dragon Quest 3 though. Big fan of this game. This is the most fun I've had, like trying to solve puzzles and looking up nothing. Because a lot of times I don't look up anything, but it's like you're kind of being held, like your hand's being held, and you're kind of just guided. This is like, I actually got to solve this fucking boat puzzle right now. I got to figure out what to do. And it's been a lot of fun. So I'm like sitting in the shower like, how the fuck do I do this? I'm in my car. Where would I go next? I've gone to this town. So that's really cool. I really do recommend the way Dragon Quest 3 is handling things. I've heard people like putting this one in like their top like 1 to 3 of the Dragon Quest games. And I kind of see why now. Because it's just doing everything right. So I'm just kind of rambling backwards. So let's just go forward and say thank you and goodbye for this episode of Your Brain on Tom. I don't say the show name in the show anymore, but I mean, you know what it is when you're clicking on it. But with that, thank you and love and kisses.